500 million people applied for a ticket to this year's World Cup. There were about 7 million seats. The final in New Jersey held 80,663 of them. The average price actually paid for one of those seats on one major resale platform was $10,809. That is not an asking price, that is an average of completed sales. 4 years ago, the most expensive seat at a World Cup final had a face value of $1,600. The match didn't get longer, and the stadium didn't get bigger. What changed is who was allowed to collect the difference. And FIFA had that change budgeted in public years in advance. Now, the obvious explanation is that tickets simply got more expensive. That's the symptom, not the mechanism. Going to a World Cup match is a bundle of about 6 things, and 5 of them have substitutes. You can fly a different airline, sleep further out, eat cheaper, take the train instead of the car. One thing in that bundle has no substitute at all. There are 80,000 seats at the final, and there is no second final. I'm going to call that the choke point. Whoever owns the choke point collects the premium, and everybody else just competes. Means and motive. Every fortune has a means and a motive. So, 3 parts. First, what FIFA actually charged this year, which is a genuinely new system. Then Qatar in 2022, which is the control experiment, because there the price was frozen. Then who collected, which is the part that matters. There's a number in FIFA's own published budget that gives the whole thing away. Stay for that one. Start with what was actually on sale. FIFA published an opening range, $60 at the bottom, $6,730 for the final. But the $60 tier never went on general sale. It went to national associations to hand to their own supporters. And the opening range was never a ceiling, because for the first time at a World Cup, FIFA priced the tournament by demand. FIFA calls this variable pricing and is careful to say it is not an algorithm moving prices in real time. It reviews demand and adjusts. By spring, members of Congress and the attorneys general of New York and New Jersey were citing reports of increases across more than 90 of the 104 matches. The top price on the final was reported to have reached $10,990. Then the resale marketplace. FIFA let sellers set their own price above face value across most of the United States and charged 15% to the seller and 15% to the buyer. That's 30% of the seller's price, or about 26% of everything the buyer actually hands over. Now go back 4 years, because Qatar is the control experiment. FIFA sold that final in 4 fixed categories, published months in advance, identical for everybody. $1,600 at the top, about $1,000, about $600, and $206 at the bottom. And the cheapest one you could only buy if you lived in Qatar. Those prices did not move by a single rial as demand went through the roof. So the seat was just as scarce and the price was frozen. Which means the premium had to come out somewhere else, and it did. A hotel room in Doha had averaged about $120 to $150 a night for 3 years. In the opening week of that tournament, the average Doha room went to $1,312. FIFA owned the choke point, froze the price, and handed the premium to the hotels. Because now we get to the part that changes everything. In 2026, FIFA stopped freezing the price. And the question is whether everyone else simply raised theirs too. So make the call before I show you. Did hotels in the host cities go up like Doha did? Did they stay flat, or did they try and fail? Pick one, put it in the comments, because I would have got this wrong. Here's what happened to the bet. Within 3 weeks of FIFA confirming the match schedule, advertised rates at 96 branded hotels across the host cities had risen by about 328%. from around $293 a night to a little over $1,000. So they tried exactly what Doha did, and then mostly it didn't hold. A broader hotel dataset covering the same window found average advertised rates up not 300% but 14%. By May, 2/3 of New York hoteliers surveyed were reporting softer bookings than they'd expected. And when the tournament arrived, achieved room rates across host markets ran 20 to 30% above last year, with occupancy flat or falling. The peak, when it came, was a record night in New York of $610. In Doha, there was one city and nowhere else to sleep, and New York has a metro of 20 million. So who collected? On the eve of the final, FIFA told its member associations it expected the 4-year cycle to top $15 billion. The original budget for that cycle was 11, and it had already been revised up to 13. The previous cycle, the one containing Qatar, came in at 7.57 billion, so roughly double in 4 years. But the total isn't the tell. In the Qatar cycle, hospitality and ticket sales brought FIFA $949 million. For this cycle, FIFA budgeted $3.1 billion from that same line, more than 3 times planned in advance and published years before anybody bought a ticket. FIFA owned the choke point in 2022 and froze it at $1,600. It owned the same choke point this year, let the price move, and took a cut of both sides of every resale. The seat didn't change, the crowd didn't change, and the scarcity didn't change. The only thing that changed is that the organizers stopped leaving the money on the table. Now, the obvious objection, and it's a fair one. If a seat is worth $10,000 to somebody, somebody collects that $10,000. In Qatar, it was hotels and touts. This year, it was FIFA, and the fan pays either way. That's true. And it's why this isn't a story about villains. FIFA's answer is that variable pricing finds fair market value, that its own marketplace is safer than the alternative, and that most of what it invests goes back into football. But 69 members of Congress asked it to justify the pricing. 2 attorneys general subpoenaed it, and no public answer to either has been found. A fixed price is something you can plan against, and a floating one is something you find out. And a $200 ticket only exists if somebody decides in advance to leave money on the table. So, here's what this is good for, because you're probably not buying a World Cup final ticket. Every event you pay to attend has a choke point and a set of substitutes. Find the choke point first, because that is the price that will surprise you. Then ask whether it is capped or floating, because that single fact decides your budget. A seat advertised at $2.3 million is an asking price, and nobody has shown that anyone paid it. FIFA's audited accounts for this year don't exist yet, so what it actually collected is still unpublished. Asking prices, transaction averages, budgets, and audited results are 4 different kinds of fact, and only one of them is a record of what happened. So, 500 million applications, 7 million seats, and 1 match holding 80,000 of them. The seat was always the scarce thing. For decades, its price was frozen, and the money went to hotels, airlines, and touts instead. This year, it wasn't frozen. Nothing about the scarcity changed, only the decision about who was allowed to price it. That's the whole reason this channel exists. The choke point isn't a football story. It's the shape of almost everything you'll ever pay to attend. Find the thing with no substitute, and you've found who sets the price. Every week, means and motive takes one apart until you can see it coming before it arrives. If that's useful to you, subscribe. That's the only thing I'll ask. Until then, don't just ask what the ticket costs, ask who owns the gate. Every fortune has a means and a motive.